It's a film with three brains. 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 It's a film with three brains.
Oh my god, you guys are freaks.
For nearly 3,000 years, man has searched for the lost Ark of the Covenant.
The Bible speaks of the Ark leveling mountains and laying waste to entire regions. Not something to be taken lightly. No one knows its secrets.
Jones, do you realize what the Ark is? It's a transmitter. It's a radio for speaking to God.
An army which carries the Ark before it is invincible.
The Ark, if it is their Adonis, then it is something that man was not meant to disturb.
It is protected by forces beyond imagination. It is desired above all treasures on earth by those who are good,
Trust me.
and those who are evil.
I'll tell you everything.
Yes, I know you will.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Let her go.
We have no time. If you still want the Ark, it has been loaded onto a truck for Cairo.
Raiders of the Lost Ark. A film from Steven Spielberg and George Lucas.
Hello and welcome to the Film with Three Brains. I am Sean in Wisconsin.
And I am Cohen in Maplewood, New Jersey.
And Sam in San Francisco.
And
Frankie in Piedmont, California.
all right, thanks for joining us, Frankie, a special surprise guest, complete with fedora. Would you call that a hat? A fedora?
Yep, you would.
It's pretty awesome. And appropriate, obviously, because we're going to talk about Raiders of the Lost Ark, 1981, directed by Spielberg, Harrison Ford. There, you know, I can go through the whole list, but we don't have to talk about all the credits right away, and we don't have to talk about anything right away. It's kind of a freeform show, as you may have known, and we generally start with how recently we've seen it or how often we've seen it. So. Frankie, you want to start with that one?
I actually was just contemplating this. It finally may have a rival because I've seen Top Gun Maverick 28 times. And I must be getting like tiptoeing closer to Raiders, but not probably there yet.
Yeah.
Why do you know that you've seen that movie 28 times?
It became funnier and funnier each time I saw it.
Like The Exorcist.
Yeah.
I kept taking other people to go see it in the theater because I wanted them to see it in the theater. And then I started thinking, oh man, I got to keep track of this. This is funny.
All right.
I mean, not to get too derailed, but did people actually not know about the movie and said, oh, fine, I'll see it? Or had they had some familiarity with that movie?
People are complacent. I think they just, they kind of knew it was out and figured, maybe I'll get to it. And I was like, no, we're going now. You're coming with me.
Nice.
Let's go see this thing.
I appreciate your purity of thought and clarity of experience.
Nice.
I did not see Raiders of the Lost Ark in the theater. I saw it on a VCR, a VHS, I guess.
It wasn't a Betamax?
It was not a Betamax. I was at my grandparents' house, and they had, this is probably 1983 is my best guess. They had the VHS, and we got a couple movies. We had the Dark Crystal, and we had this one, and we watched Raiders of the Lost Ark 6 times in a row. We just hit the rewind button. I mean, we watched it the first time. We were blown away. I mean, it was like, I mean, we can get to all our impressions, but just like it had to be the first action adventure. At first, I mean, it was a seminal movie for a lot of people. It's no surprise. But I mean, I was like dumbstruck, and we just rewound it, and we watched it 6 times in that day. We didn't have a lot going on, so you know.
Indeed.
And I'm pretty hitting pause and rewind again and again when their faces melt.
Yes, I think first or second time we started doing that, rewinding. What just happened?
Yeah,
I first saw this. So we were on we call them family ordeals, which was our name for family vacations, and we went down to. You have a guest, Frankie. We went down to Kentucky, and we were staying at this place that had cabins near a lake, and it had like a community, like a common house. And at night they would play movies. They would project movies onto a screen, onto the same type of movie screen that you have in like your grade school classroom.
Sure.
So one night was Raiders of the Lost Ark, and none of my other family went. Just my dad took me to see this, and we sat in there with 20 other people sitting at little chairs watching this movie. And same thing, it was mind blowing. It was like, I mean, at that age, like I'd seen Star Wars and all that, but I don't remember a live action movie like this, like anything close to it before seeing this movie.
What was the sound like? So it was a big projection screen, but
well, it wasn't big. Those projection screens were like, what are they, like 5 feet by 8 feet? Like it's not huge, but it was like a classroom projector. They put it up. And the sound wasn't awesome, but it was better than like the cassette tape, like of the documentaries we used to be forced to watch on those same screens and projectors.
Yeah. I don't remember seeing it for the first time. I'm almost certain I saw it in the theater, though. I don't know why I think that. I have a vague recollection of seeing it. What I remember more than that is my sister, who's 4 years older than me, had a fake movie poster in her bedroom for years that said Raiders of the Lost Socks. And it had a picture of Harrison Ford like in the beginning, and instead of a boulder, it was folded up socks. I don't know why. I don't know what was that supposed to mean? I have no idea, but she had it for years. That sticks in my head. I'm almost certain I saw it in the theater, though. I just have like a vague memory of seeing it and loving it. And then, of course, when it did come out on video, I'm sure I rented it multiple times on Betamax because we guessed wrong. But yeah, and I mean, I don't ever recall not loving it or not thinking it to be just about a perfect movie.
Oh yeah,
and now it's no different. Like it doesn't lose a step. Like it's perfect. Like I can't find really any fault with it at all. Not even nitpicking really. I was watching it and it was just like not thinking about anything else but just how fucking great it is, and how entertaining it is.
I saw it at the theater too. I remember the feeling I had watching it. And there were certain moments in that movie. There are a couple of seaplanes in there. Those really stuck with me. I think that was my first introduction to that idea that even exists. And then the scene where he's under the truck, he the hood ornament collapses, falls under, and yet he's still kind of dialing his way back underneath the truck. I was basically like pumping my fist as a little kid, like,
yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. I remember thinking this is the greatest thing to ever be put on film, and I'd barely seen 2 or 3 films. I mean, I wasn't
right
watching a lot of TV as a youth, but yeah, it was like it defined what was possible in movie making. I mean, at the time anyway, kind of like Star Wars, but in a more specific sort of adventure-y, crazy way. I mean, like, because you knew there was. I mean, of course, that wasn't Harrison Ford or the truck, but Harrison Ford did a lot of stunts, and it's just incredible that they could even conceive of doing that and then, you know, make it look plausible as well. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
I can segue briefly to the VHS sort of thing, because if we probably are all aware that Tom Selleck was cast and was ready to go. He screen tested with I'm gonna forget, Sean Young, I think, and he was going to do Magnum PI, but Magnum PI wasn't even a show yet, and CBS, being CBS, I guess, they heard that, you know, they wanted Magnum, you know, Lucas and Spielberg wanted him, and that they're like, oh, he's in demand, and then they greenlit Magnum PI based on that. That's at least the wiki version of it. And then because of VCRs and the like, there was a Screen Actors strike, a dual strike of both two unions, and so there was a strike, and Magnum PI didn't shoot for like 3 more months. So he could have probably done it anyway, but you know, the VCR had some role to play in getting Harrison Ford in front of the camera, and thank goodness for that, because it's not just the mustache. I just don't see Tom Selleck as that kind of guy. Almost a little too handsome or a little too something. I can't really put my finger on it, but do you guys?
I think Tom Selleck he could handle. I think he would do well in the sort of the lighter aspects of it. But Harrison Ford is such a unique actor, because in this movie he does just like hard as nails, doofy as hell, and like a love interest, and he does them all just perfectly. And I think the one thing that Tom Selleck doesn't have is that hard as nails aspect. That I don't buy Tom Selleck as a dude who will take on, you know, Nazis single-handedly and kick the hell out of them, you know. And not that Harrison Ford plays a Superman in this. He gets shot, he gets beat up, he's in pain, but you know, and he just seems so tough, you know, like it's just Harrison Ford. But Tom Selleck, I think, is a good actor. I think he's funny, and I think he would have been fine. I think is the answer. He would have been fine. You know, and Harrison Ford was spectacular. It's my opinion. I mean, and it's funny because George Lucas didn't want Harrison Ford. Spielberg did. George Lucas didn't, because Harrison Ford had been in American Graffiti, and George Lucas had a bug up his ass about that for some reason.
Right.
I don't remember what the explanation was. He just didn't want to cast him because he had just worked with him in something else, and I don't know. Not quite sure what the issue was, but clearly he lost that argument, which is good.
Well, while you're bringing it up, the casting overall was spectacular.
Yeah.
All the supporting characters were just right. I mean, can you imagine not having Sala or and Karen Bell instead of I don't know, sort of a cookie cutter heroine? She's got the right edge. She's just perfect.
And, I like that her intro is that she's out drinking someone else. like it always shows like we're gonna show that she has grit in one way or the other. Like she owns a bar and can out drink the other people.
And she's I guess she's sort of I think a female version of Harrison Ford in that regard, in that she plays feminine well, but then she also plays like super tough, can handle herself in just about any situation, even though she is a damsel in distress through a lot of it. But she, you know, like she kind of carries her own weight to a certain extent. I mean, she does have to be rescued a few times, but you still believe, you know, that she's not just dead weight and that she could, you know, contribute. And you buy that opening scene, you know, where she beats this enormous man, you know, and with you know, like 10 times her body weight.
And then she saves Indy's life. You know, and then she shoots the guy before he shoots in, you know, so, you know, it's great because then he owes her one right off the bat. And the way they do it too is fun, a little, you know, it's been done in other movies, but he looks down at himself and realized it wasn't his gun that went off.
She's the opposite of the damsel in distress. She's like, Well, at least you haven't forgotten how to show a lady a good time. I'm your goddamn partner.
Yeah.
Yeah, and continuing on Frankie's point, I think Paul Freeman is a really good villain.
Yeah.
Really good foil and villain for Indy.
Yeah. And they also like he's in his the character's written in an interesting way. He's not just a cookie cutter villain. He's not just like straight up evil. I really like their conversation they have, where he's Belloc is telling Harrison Ford that they're the same. He just needs a little push, to become him, and the way he's keen on Marion and stuff. It just makes a villain so much more interesting if he's human. Instead of just this like super evil doing evil shit for no fucking reason, it just isn't very interesting. And he's great. His performance is great. I thought it was interesting. You said imagining anyone else as Sala. I didn't realize. I read the factoid about that. Apparently, they wanted Danny DeVito to play that role, and he was like gonna do it, and he was all but cast, and then he had scheduling issues with Taxi, and of course he couldn't get out of it, and so he couldn't do it.
Better for it.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know about you guys, but Sal, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, after seeing it again and again and again over the years, beginning at a very impressionable age, I was probably, I guess, maybe 11. And then maturing into an adult and coming back to it. And then in, I guess, 89 is when the next movie came out, or the third movie came out, right?
Yeah.
Something around then. Sounds right. It just felt like it had come out of nowhere. Like, where did this is just this incredible universe. And then I started looking into where this came from. They always talked about watching serials
Mm-hmm.
at the movie theater before the main feature.
Mm-hmm.
But the movie that struck me about this was Casablanca, which I had never seen until somewhere in my 20s. And when I watched it, I was just astonished at how much they borrowed from the movie. I don't know if you guys recall much about the movie.
Yeah, sure.
But it's set in roughly the same time. The Nazis are taking over the world. You've got two estranged lovers. One walks into the other's bar. There's on and on. He wears the fedora. I got the picture here. I brought it. He's wearing that. On and on and on. It's very cool. And they even have the airplane flying with the map. And
Oh, that's true.
And there's this other movie, The Secret of the Incas. Have you guys watched that? You ever seen it?
Never seen that one.
Which had Charlton Heston in it. And he's kind of this prototypical, he sort of lays out the outfit. I think they borrowed his outfit in this movie. He has charisma. He's kind of a scoundrel.
Scoundrel.
But the look, I'm positive they must have just looked at this character and said, okay, Andy's got to look something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially since, we've talked about Star Wars coming from Flash Gordon and those sort of stories, those early childhood memories that Lucas had, and it's basically nostalgia. I mean, I think they made a movie that they wanted to see when they were kids, and that most of us saw as kids, and it did the same thing that those movies did for them, which is so interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when in the 1990s, I was on this kick of trying to watch like every movie ever made, which I did for a while. And the one that stuck out to me when I came across it was The African Queen, which is also Bogart and then Hepburn. And some of the things that are in there are direct influence for Raiders and Temple of Doom. And Spielberg actually said that he had Kate Capshaw for Temple of the Doom watch that movie so that she could better understand what the relationship's supposed to be like with Harrison Ford. So it's just it is cool to see. I don't know if there's an older version of us that was like, God, this Raiders sucks because the African Queen and Casablanca are so good, and just like we're gonna watch some movie next week and be like, it's just a ripoff of Raiders and it sucks. But yeah, I remember that movie and being like, oh my God, this. I had no idea at the time. I was just like, on my kick of watching all of Humphrey Bogart's movies, or as many as I could. That was a total surprise. I still think it's a good movie for people who like to go back a lot farther than we review.
Sure.
You mean movies didn't start in 1975? That's weird.
Well, then you have to, in any discussion of this movie and the whole franchise, you have to have John Williams in the discussion, because
sure,
that emotion of that movie is so led by all of the subtleties and bombast that he brings at the right moments. That sort of, I don't know if it's a clarinet or something. There's that sort of lilting clarinet sound while she's playing with the little medallion and the candle flickers and all that. It gives me it gave me a hair-raising kind of a feeling. It felt spooky and mystical, and and now I can, but you guys, I can hear any segment of that music, and I know exactly what's happening.
Oh yeah.
That's how I'm with Star Wars.
And it's different for me than a lot of other action movies where there's dramatic music. Yes, it's crescendos or it's suspenseful or something, but few of them have such a fingerprint. It's so knowable and unique.
Yeah. And Williams himself, I think, kind of downplays it. Like, he didn't think it had to be too serious because of, this. I mean, Lucas and Spielberg described this as sort of a really good B movie. But I just wonder if Williams was like, I mean, even if he was phoning it in, he's still so good that he can make anything sound good. And yeah, the theme is pretty basic. The Indies kind of march, but it's iconic. And I remember as a kid when we watched it 6 times, and we got home and we were trying to play the spooky parts on the piano. And we couldn't get the chords right, but like just that eeriness and that minor crescendo stuff, and that like it really leaves a mark. And it's obviously the face is melting, and of course all of the things that happen in the movie, and the Nazis and all the creepiness. Like we just spent a couple of days just saying, we are not thirsty. We just were doing all of these things that we knew from the movie. But yeah, the music was definitely a huge part of it.
I mean, do you remember when they're in the hall at the college, and the FBI guy, the Secret Service guys are there, and they open up the page, the page of the Bible, and good God, yes, that's what the Hebrews thought. And the music is just this just mysterious and ominous, and it's subtle.
Yeah,
that sort of thing sets up the power of the explosive moments, because you have that too, and it's beautiful to me. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's a very gifted musician and conductor, all that stuff. That little shot of the beams, that just, it's like the music was coming out of the book itself. It was just sort of creeping out, and the way that they talk about it in these hushed tones and everything's top secret gets you this weird vibe. It gives you this like, no way that's going to be that crazy. There's no way it's going to be all that. It's a lot of hocus pocus, and I mean that's Indiana Jones himself is supposed to be the skeptic. He doesn't believe in magic and all this stuff, and doesn't matter. I mean,
almost the same line as Han Solo. He doesn't believe in magic. I think that you're talking about the music and that, but I also realized, because I haven't watched this in a while, how good, because when I think of it from far away, I think of it as just an action movie. But actually, when I what I realized though is that how Spielberg does create those kind of spooky and mystical moments, and it made me think of Peter Jackson. You know, like Lord of the Rings and other things. He can turn real quick and get spooky, and then go right back to the action or the rest of the story. Like just give you a moment of totally turning the audience's mood, like from mystery or action to kind of like creepy or scary, and then go right back, like just a touch of it. It's really artful. I in recent years I've not been impressed with what Spielberg's done, so it's so great to go back and watch this and see how perfect it is. Recognize all these little touches.
Yeah, and so there's all these things we're talking about that are intentional, and then what's super fun are all the things that make it perfect that were totally unintentional. I mean, they happened and they intentionally chose it to use it, but like the classic scene that was set up with the swordsman in the crowd, and he just hauls off and shoots him, and that's only because Harrison Ford, poor guy, had dysentery. He was really sick, and they just tried that on a take. It was hilarious. I got a laugh in the theater. I remember that. But there were a bunch of things that happened in this movie, I think, that they took advantage of.
Sure.
Yay for dysentery.
One of the worst things about this movie is how much it raised the bar for every other movie. For me, I've gone to a lot of other movies and just been kind of disappointed. And it's not really a criticism. It's just, even now looking back on it, I enjoy it just as much.
Yeah. It also has, one thing I noticed too watching it is that it has like so many set pieces. Some of them are a little short, but so many like action beats and scenes compared to any action or like adventure movie now it'd be like maybe there's one in the beginning, maybe maybe something in the middle, and then the last half, the third act will have the big thing, and this, it's like the last act is actually somewhat quiet, as it builds to their time on the island, as the boat's going and the all the things that happen on the sub. It's not completely quiet, but like the biggest scenes are before the end, and there's a ton of them, and it's great, and they're organic, and they're well done, and they manage to, it's just really great writing too, where an action scene also somehow manages to develop character in ways that modern action movies often usually don't do. It's sort of like I always think of sort of the duel in, I just watched it recently with my kids. We watched Return of the Jedi, and it's during their big lightsaber fight that Vader finds out that Luke has a sister, in the middle of this elaborate set piece, and it develops the character, develops the plot, and like modern action movies never do that. It's one of my biggest complaints about the prequel movies, like when Obi-Wan and fucking Darth Maul have this big great sword fight, and there's not a word spoken between them, even though even in Liam Neeson, when he's still alive in the movie, and like there's a force field and they have to stop, and that's a cool moment. They have to stop and collect themselves, and like Lawrence Kasdan would have written that scene with developing the character, the relationships, and the story in those quiet moments in the middle of this amazing set piece. And I feel like Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark in particular, does this very well as it goes along. Even just showing Indiana Jones as human, how afraid he is of snakes in that whole sequence and shit like that. It's just great.
Yeah, it's amazing that Spielberg found Lawrence Kasdan, basically. Sorry, go ahead, Frankie.
No, finish your thought.
Oh, just that this is the start of his career. And what Cohen was saying is, I mean, he knew that was his job, was to take these great set pieces of action that Lucas and Spielberg were spitballing and make it connect, make it all work somehow. And that is not easy at all.
Yeah.
And he does it with aplomb.
Yeah, I think when you mentioned about how he's human, I think part of the reason his character works, and a lot of this is probably Harrison Ford's interpretation, but is just the vulnerability that keeps playing out. He's a hero who's continuously getting knocked on his ass and actually is failing to solve the problems, but somehow dumb lucks or happenstance kind of lets him get by to the next thing, and he takes it and runs. So, right, the bald guy at the flying wing airplane scene punches him. His knee wobbles and he falls back on the ground. He only survives that because the guy turns around and hits the propeller.
Yeah.
And examples of that where he's just, as they should in a movie like this, they just continuously look for ways they can make him squirm. And hopeless. He can't get out of this.
Yeah.
And then something, mostly not through his own effort, saves the day. And off he goes.
I didn't realize that the producer was in that scene as the pilot, the wing plane fight. I guess he's Frank Marshall's the pilot.
Oh yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah. I didn't know that. I never realized that.
This is a piece of trivia, since you just were mentioning airplanes again, and I'm a junkie. This big seaplane scene in the beginning, when he boards to go fly to Asia, and the sinister guy's reading Life magazine or whatever it was. That seaplane scene was shot in Oakland, and they did it across from where my hangar is at the Oakland airport, and they built a pool around this plane that's still there. And they put matte paintings behind it and made it look like it was at the ocean.
Wow!
And so you can go in and take a tour, and they have the hat sitting where Harrison Ford came up, sat down on the plane. It's kind of neat. And I'm pretty sure, if I remember right, that the propeller that's spinning in that scene when they're boarding, of course, they don't do that. They don't start spinning propellers until people are on the plane. It's been electronic one. It looks good. It looks good in the scene. I think that's because that was the only engine that actually had a motor that would turn over.
Oh, wow.
But
they made most of that.
Whenever I go to the airport, I always get a big smile on my face because not only was Raiders part of the reason I probably became a pilot, but just before I turn into to go flying, there's the seaplane.
That's awesome.
That's great. Well, as long as you're bringing up planes and stuff, did anyone read that the first seaplane when they escape, he's got the snake and Reggie and all that. The first take, they crashed from 20 feet in above the water with Harrison Ford on, because I guess his leg was affecting the flap.
Oh,
that's
no.
what I read today. I was like, what? So
wow.
I don't even know how that happens, much less you recover from that and then get the whole thing to work again. I mean, got another plane, I imagine, but maybe it was not a terrible crash. I mean, it's a seaplane. It should land back, hopefully, on its floats, but just the whole, the ambition of doing those stunts, 10 minutes in the movie or whatever. I mean, it seemed like it was 10 minutes in the movie. It's just crazy. But I had the same, I mean, I didn't become a pilot, but kudos to you, but I remember thinking the same thing, like, wow, like you can really get around on these suckers. You can swoop in and land anywhere. And it's a cool thing to be mobile like that.
There's a lot of romance packed into this movie. And I don't just mean the love story. It's just so many aspects of it are just such a romantic imagery, including, the romance of early days of aviation and seaplanes and things like that.
Now, do you have a whip to go with your hat, or?
I don't, man, but that would be great. I really wish I did.
I had one when we were kids.
You did, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, and it was awesome, and I loved it, but it was poorly made, and so I'd whip it around the tree branch in my backyard the mulberry tree that had a sandbox under it, and I'd whip the tree branch and I'd swing from it, and it was great. And then one day I did that and I swung and it snapped in half, and I was like, fuck, and I never got another one. I was very disappointed when that broke. Oh well, what are you gonna do?
You probably moved on to your nunchucks or your Chinese stars.
I just switched to some other weapon I had laying around.
Speaking of martial arts, did anyone read that Lucas wanted Indiana Jones to be a kung fu guy as well as a kind of a womanizer, playboy guy?
Yeah, I read that he wanted a more like 007, but I didn't know about the kung fu. I'm so glad that he doesn't.
Yeah.
Right? How weird would that be?
Yeah, that would be odd.
I mean, this whole thing started because of the desire for Spielberg and Lucas to want to make something like a James Bond movie.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, I think Spielberg wanted to do a James Bond. And at the time, Lucas first wanted Philip Kaufman to direct. Kaufman was busy killing something, I don't know. And they met in Hawaii, I believe, and started talking about their ideas. But Spielberg still wasn't attached until they got to California and then really started getting serious about it. But I can't imagine. I mean, no disrespect to Philip Kaufman, he's great, but yes, and Spielberg and Lucas, I think their sensibilities together is what held it together. And I think Spielberg, like, he wanted 2,000 extras, and he got like 600 on in the digging scenes, and
Mm-hmm.
he can be grand in vision, but also like a little too long. The first cut was almost 3 hours, and eventually it got under 2 hours. But I mean, he knows that he goes a little too far sometimes with certain things, but I think it was the mix of the two people kind of working together. Well, more than two people, but the main two creators. Who am I leaving out here? The other story guy. I mean, other than Lawrence Kasdan, I guess.
That's it, isn't it? Just Philip Kaufman, Lawrence Kasdan, George Lucas, and Steven Spielberg.
The take-home lesson is that Lucas needs Kasdan.
What's that?
Yeah.
I think the take-home message is that Lucas needs Kasdan. When there's no Kasdan and Lucas is left on his own, it's
right. Well, I mean, George Lucas, he's a big picture idea man. You know, he can visualize like the forest, and then someone else has to, grow the trees, because like he left to his own devices, like yikes, like the Star Wars prequels, which he wrote and directed, I think, all 3 of them.
Yeah.
Dude, like, dude, I mean, he wrote and directed Star Wars, but then I think he co-wrote Empire and maybe just was like story credit on Jedi, and didn't direct either of them, and that's a good thing.
That is a good thing.
So yeah, he has good ideas in general. Like I think in a large scale, like let's make an adventure film that's set in the 30s based on the Old Republic serials, and it's going to be fun and action and shit. Great. Now back off. Let's let Lawrence Kasdan write it. Let Spielberg direct it, and then like those. I think those 3 together are really great.
Right.
And even Spielberg on his own, like, he's an okay writer. He's written a few. He wrote. Did he write E.T. or no? He didn't even write it? Did he? It was just his idea, and he kind of hammered out the details with what's her name? I forgot her name already.
Harrison Ford's wife. Yeah.
Anyway, I forgot my damn point.
It was about details and how.
Oh yeah, George Lucas, good at the big picture, bad at the small stuff.
No irony at all detected.
Right.
No, I think Lucas is they do well together. Lucas was second unit director, and Raiders is such a big picture that they needed a lot of people to work on this. And I mean, they get a lot of locations from their, they get the sets, and they're in England, they're in France for the U-boat scenes, in Hawaii, but it makes you feel like you went around the world, even though they only used about 3 locations.
Yeah.
And the budget was, I don't know what the budget was, but it stated 20 million.
Yeah, and they made 390.
Oof.
It's done all right.
Crazy.
Yeah. So I just saw going back to the casting. I just saw the IMDb's trivia list of the actors considered for the role of Indiana Jones, which take that with a grain of salt. Whatever considered means. I mean, one of them could have just said, "Hey, what about this person?" But anyway, it's a long list. So here it is. It's Sam Elliott, Jeff Bridges, Paul Lamont, who I'm not quite sure who that is actually, Christopher Guest, Bruce Boxleitner, Barry Bostwick, Harry Hamlin, Mark Harmon, Nick Mancuso, Peter Coyote, John Calvin, Michael Bean, Sam Shepard, David Hasselhoff, Tim Matheson, Jack Nicholson, Nick Nolte, John Shea, Nick Mancuso. Oh, they list him twice. Bill Murray, Steve Martin, Chevy Chase, and Tom Selleck, of course.
Steve Martin that's got to be a joke, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I read somewhere that they considered Bill Murray for Batman before they cast Michael Keaton. I don't know how true that is or how much he was actually considered, but I don't know. Steve Martin, that's crazy.
Steve Martin is just weird.
I mean, the only one of those, Jeff Bridges.
Yeah,
Jeff Bridges, I was like, maybe he. I
think he was in the running too.
Yeah,
pre-Selleck.
Yeah, that's the only one I was like, maybe.
Well, since we were talking about James Bond and its influence on this coming to being and casting, do you guys remember the recent? I don't know. There was always this debate about somebody new that could step into the role.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to revive it. The way that we do with James Bond, and we all look the other way. It's just a different actor, and we're okay with that.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. There was a discussion for a while about whether Chris Pratt could pull
I
it
remember
off.
that. I remember that.
He has sort of a resemblance in a certain way if you put him in the garb. Do you think that Indiana Jones could ever be played by somebody else successfully?
Not Chris Pratt. I like Chris Pratt. He just doesn't have that, like, he doesn't strike me as like a tough dude at all for when the chips are down and you really got to find your grit, and like the way Harrison Ford has that, Chris Pratt to me doesn't. Other than that,
yeah, I mean he was doing the Jurassic movies, and it didn't help, I don't think.
But I don't know. I can't think of anyone.
I partly ask because I love the character, the potential for stories so much.
Sure.
And it feels like there's still a ton of space in the timeline of his life.
Yeah.
For some amazing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And but to really do it, unless they're going to just do it all AI. I mean, the most recent movie, that opening scene was kind of amazing. How they de-aged him, and there were some artificial parts of it, but for the most part, it worked.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would happily go see more Indiana if somebody could really breathe life into it. But it would never be the same way that Harrison Ford did.
No, I thought when I was watching it the latest time, I kept thinking, well, shit, like they could have a spinoff with Abner Ravenwood, and then it doesn't matter. Then you're kind of getting out of the Harrison Ford shadow, but you're still having this character who is a globe-trotting archaeologist, dude who's maybe going up against it, because Abner Ravenwood's older, a bit older than him. Mm-hmm. And, you could go back a few years. And so you've got a young Abner Ravenwood in his late 20s or early 30s, which would take place maybe in the wake of World War I or something, or maybe during maybe the 20s. I don't know how old he was supposed to be, if they even decided that. I don't know. But like the Roaring 20s, or, after World War I, or maybe during the Depression, Prohibition. I don't know. Like, sure. And then cast someone very much not Harrison Ford. And then you're those constraints are lifted. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about him living up to that. I mean, that's the big problem with Solo, is that dipshit they cast he just wasn't Harrison Ford. He was nothing like Harrison Ford. And that guy's a pretty good actor. He's in other stuff. He's fine. He's just not Han Solo. He's not Harrison Ford, and he's not a good surrogate for him. And no, I, for one, didn't buy it for a second. I like the movie itself. Like, if you could separate. Yeah. If they'd have named him something else, it would have been a really good movie, you know, and it's just about a different character. But anyway, so yeah, that's what I was saying. I was like, oh, like the Adventures of Abner Ravenwood, or call it whatever you want, you know. It doesn't matter. But Ravenwood's a cool sounding name. It's not quite as cool as Indiana Jones, but Abner's a terrible name. But you know, maybe we find out he gave himself a nickname. You know, who knows?
Exactly.
Yeah, and Indiana Jones is way better than Indiana Smith, which they quickly realized that was the original iteration.
Yeah,
Indiana Smith. Well, as long as we're talking about contingencies and stuff. Sorry, do you want to?
Well, I was just going to ask. Speaking of these, you know, possible spin-offs, right? Well, or you know, precursors to the movie. Did you guys ever see the similarly styled Tales of the Gold Monkey TV show in the 80s?
I remember that. Yeah, I used to watch that. Sure.
About a pilot who had come out of the American volunteer group. He was fighting leading up to World War II, and now he's a seaplane pilot in the South Pacific.
Yeah.
That movie script had languished, and the studios kept rejecting it, saying nobody wants to see stories like that until that's one of the reasons that series even managed to get to the TV.
Sure.
In a similar way, I feel like the romance of that era could just, with the way people can make episodic, you know, serialized stuff on streaming services now that have such high quality.
Mm-hmm.
It would be amazing to see early Indiana Jones stuff, you know, a show just like that too, and go back to that time period. It's just golden.
Yeah.
Well, they had the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. I remember watching that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is plenty to do. It's you know, if you get one step away from it, though, it's also something totally different. Meaning, like, if you're saying, you know, Abner Ravenwood is not going to be Indiana Jones, so it might as well be, you know, Michael Douglas and Romancing the Stone. You know, like, as soon as you get one step away, you know, like, part of why we love Indiana Jones is because we love Indiana Jones, the character.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, the story is great, but we love the character, and I think that's, you know, if you do the same thing to this that you do to Star Wars, where you have all sorts of spin-offs that go all sorts of different directions, you're going to end up with the same thing. You're going to end up with some being crap and some being fun, and this, you know, that are in the same world, but none of them are actually going to be Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, and Princess Leia. You know.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny how that works. It's like, I think this is the reason I was asking about James Bond stuff. To me, it was unimaginable, and I hope I don't offend anyone here. No, for James Bond, and I would have just maintained that forever. And then Daniel Craig completely transformed that character for me.
Mm-hmm.
And now, I mean, you couldn't have any of the other ones without Sean Connery's portrayal, but sometimes the magic can happen again. I've been thinking about this a lot because of the revival of Star Trek, Strange New Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Watching all of those characters get reintroduced. I don't know if you guys have seen any of that.
But I haven't, no.
It would have similarly been blasphemy to imagine to recast Captain Kirk.
Right.
You know, but yet they did it. And my first reaction was like, wait, what? But it's kind of exciting to see how, played differently, it can actually go somewhere fresh. So I think you're right, Sal. It can be, there's no guarantee there, because it's probably more likely to fail than it is to succeed. But then if it does succeed, it's very enchanting, because you just couldn't imagine that. And it doesn't take anything away from the older ones. So.
Yeah, so for me, with Daniel Craig being 007, I was like, he doesn't need to be 007. He could have been someone else. Like you know, because he's different enough. You know, like he's way more brooding than 007 ever was before him. Like he could be his own. He could be 008 for all, you know, all it could, you know, like that's what I'm saying is when do you need it and when don't you? Like, I get it for Star Wars, it's its own universe, and Indiana Jones has its own wiki. Like, you can, like, people have put down every little little factoid and made up ones that don't, explanations. Like you can read about the Jovitos and their legendary background, even though they're totally made up for the movie. So it's, I guess there is an Indiana Jones universe out there, and
isn't it they are descendants? The Jovitos are supposed to be descendants of an actual Chunga something tribe.
Sure.
In Peru. I mean, there's a basis in fact, but yeah, there's no such thing as Jovitos.
Right. Ask that to the internet.
So I don't know how long this will go on, but I want to ask a question that we started with. How many times have you seen the movie? What do you think?
Let's see. 6 plus. I was thinking, I was ballparking it at 70 to 80.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, just because if you figure 10 in the 80s at least, and then how many times it's just been on television and I've watched it. I mean, maybe start to finish might be a little lower, but if you consider like half of the movie or more a viewing, then it's got to be close to 70.
Wow.
A lot.
Yeah.
I don't even have a guess. I have no idea. I know I've seen it a lot. Like watching it again this last time, like I know every single beat, before it happens. There's no like, oh, I forgot about that. I forgot about none of that. Like it's all super familiar and it feels fresh in my mind. Although I couldn't tell you when the last time I watched it beginning to end. It's been a while.
Right. Well, you guys are going to beat me with a stick when you see me in person, because I'm watching this movie waiting for like, hey, when does he say the guy, speaks 12 languages and can blend in? And I was like, oh, that's not this movie. And then there was another thing. I was like, oh, that's in the Last Crusade too. And, because I probably haven't watched this in 10 years. And then, maybe I've seen it 8 times, 10 times, it somewhere in that. I don't think it's more than 10, but they were all back, in the 80s and early 90s. And I think I watched it, like I said, like 10 or 15 years ago, and then that's been it. So there was a whole bunch of stuff where I was like, I don't remember that in this, or that they, that he spent, the whole going on to the submarine thing. Totally forgot that existed. And then when the movie ended, I was watching it on Disney. And so the next thing that starts is the beginning of The Last Crusade.
And I watched it.
And I'm watching that, and I'm like, I don't remember this. Like, oh yeah, there was he did play the young Indiana Jones. I remember the, he loses the cross and the guy's like, nice try, kid, or whatever. You gave a good effort. But I realized as I'm watching that, I was like, I don't remember any of this at all, except for the things I quote, like Indiana's the dog's name, things like that, or or he chose poorly. But I realized I got to go back and watch that now too, because I remember watching that one. I think I might have had it on VHS. I remember watching that one a good number of times, but at the same time, I don't think I haven't watched that one since the 90s.
How do you guys rank in terms of just, without getting too technical about it, the other movies?
Just about to, if I may jump in, I was just about to say that I remember seeing Temple of Doom in the theater, being somewhat, I don't want to say disappointed, but it didn't have the same feel to me.
Mm-hmm.
But as a trilogy, I think Last Crusade, like the best recovery from a not so great sequel I've ever seen. Like the Last Crusade made it all make sense. Sort of put the other one in. I mean, of course, Temple of Doom's a prequel. It has different characters. It says questionable, cultural appropriation, all that stuff. But Last Crusade is so good, it made me rethink the whole franchise as a whole, and makes me think of it as a trilogy and love it.
And they actually got James Bond to come play his father, right?
Very, very good point. Yes.
Yeah.
That whole dynamic is spectacular. It's like,
it's great.
Another whole other B story, right? It's just, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I think
Yeah, but then there are the other two.
Mm.
You know, what were we gonna say?
Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, if I were to ranking them, I'd say Raiders, Last Crusade, Temple of Doom, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and then Dial of Destiny. Which I didn't like Dial of Destiny at all.
I don't think I've seen it.
There's like a scene or two here and there I thought were all right. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is okay. It just suffers from way too many characters. Has a great opening scene. And it has its moments, but like Shia LaBeouf was horrifically miscast, and they just crammed too many characters into the last act, and it's just like it's weird. But yeah, I mean, the third one is just Sean, that's such a great way to describe it. Such an amazing recovery from what I've always considered to be a lackluster sequel, which was Temple of Doom, for a variety of reasons. It's just tonally so different from Raiders, and the goals have shifted, and I just like. To me, it just didn't work as an Indiana Jones movie very well. It has its moments, but it's just it never was my favorite. But then the other two unnecessary ones kind of came out and put Temple of Doom, raised it up a little bit.
It did. Frankie, you want to?
There are things that just in the other that are cringeworthy. And I always wonder, how did that get past the clipping? Why didn't that end up on the floor? And sometimes they're just little technical moments that bother me. I mean, we all can agree that the swinging from vine to vine with Shia LaBeouf, that didn't need to happen.
Yeah.
They could something funny with swinging, kind of trying to be like his dad and then screwing up, but not that. It was just...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the CGI monkeys and shit, like, just no.
Right. I mean, one of the things that made Raiders great was, even though they used a lot of matte paintings and fanciful ideas, it never looked so outlandish that you were like, whoa, what's that? Even in 1980, or even now, sorry, 81, but and you have computers, and then you come up with Lost Skull and Dial of Destiny and stuff like that.
And all the face melting at the end, it holds up. Like, it's a little rudimentary, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. It just works,
Yeah.
Just works.
There's an airplane scene. See, airplane scenes are important to me. There's an airplane scene in Holy Grail where they released from in an airplane from a blimp. And the whole thing looks so artificial to me. I mean, there's like no wind. There has to be blowing. I'm like, hey, what happened? You guys got this so right in the first movie. I mean, he's holding on to his hat for dear life, and everything's blowing all over the place. He was actually in an airplane. They filmed that.
Yeah.
And it always bothered me. Like, come on, don't ruin the illusion with clumsy scenes like that.
Yeah.
But I found that the Crystal Skull kind of grew on me just because I kind of liked seeing him in the 50s, and I liked the idea that he and Marion had this love child.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And acting aside, I thought Shia LaBeouf was plausible physically. Like, he looked like he could be. It was my sense about it. Like, I didn't doubt that. But at first I really thought it was a clunker. And it's grown on me over time. I mean,
you're a true fan of the franchise, I think.
Loves aliens, right? So it's like he almost had to somehow get to the totally over the top alien scene. But
I think at this point he should move away from the aliens. He keeps going back to aliens these days, and he's done it so many times so well that I just every time he throws an alien thing, I'm like, really, Spielberg, aliens again?
Wait another 2 weeks.
I know it's coming. Real quickly, I want to mention you were talking about romance and the love child and all that stuff. Well, I didn't know that Maria Lucas was the one that sort of said, "Hey," because the original cut was the government and top men, and then cut, then cut to the warehouse. And I believe it was Maria Lucas that said, "Hey, we have no closure with Marion and Indy here," and they inserted that scene on the steps, and I think it was really good move on that. You did need, like, you couldn't have this wild adventure saving the day to the last two people standing on that island and then just go, okay, government, blah blah blah, and not even have a goodbye. Like, shit, they needed to go have a drink. That was important emotionally or something.
Yeah.
Agreed. I have a question for you guys. So the end scene where the guy is pushing the crate and the warehouse reveal of the sort of endless infinity warehouse. So when I was a kid, when we were children, I always had it in my head that somehow they had built this entire warehouse and all its contents to simply be fake versions of the Ark. They were like this was their grand scheme. Here's this incredibly powerful thing we don't understand, and we can't destroy it, and we don't want anyone else to have it. So what do? So they hide it. And so as a kid, I was like, oh, so they're all crates made to look the same, and they stick the real one in the middle of it all. And no one will ever find it because holy shit, look at the size of this place. And then I'm watching it again and I'm like, well, no, that can't be it. This has got to be just the government, U.S. government's repository for all things like that need to be kept safe, right?
Yeah, as Indy said, fools, bureaucratic fools.
Yeah.
They just don't know what to have.
But our entire childhood, that's what I thought.
I like your over elaborate thoughts on it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to become president just so I could go in that warehouse.
But then is it the opening of Crystal Skull that takes place in the warehouse? That's ostensibly the same warehouse, right? Do they actually show the Ark?
It cracks up in the middle of the kerfuffle. One of the boxes gets cracked open.
Right.
And you see it. And for just a moment, the theme song comes in. And
Yeah.
Nice
That's
touch.
right.
Yeah.
Speaking of endings, are we ready to talk about our next movie?
All right. I'm gonna do
hold
something.
on. Wait. Before we move on, just one quick question. Does anyone have like a major nitpick?
Ooh. I have one specific one that I'll throw out. Harrison Ford is perfect in the entire movie, except when Rhys Davies is like, they call him Baloche, and he goes, Belloc. He's so pedantic, and I realize now that it's Bellloq, which I think in Arabic might be pronounced a little weird. But I mean, he didn't say it in French or anything, and he should be, he's an archaeologist. He knows all these languages. He probably should pronounce that a little better and not be so rude to his friend. But personal thing, maybe. That's my nitpick.
I do like the nitpick that made it onto that nerdy TV show where they say that Indiana Jones was unnecessary for the entire movie.
The theory. Yeah.
Because the Nazis end up getting the Ark, opening it up, and killing themselves anyway.
Right. But they wouldn't have found it without Indiana Jones. So, right. I always thought that too. It's like if he'd have just stayed home, the end result would have been pretty similar. Except no one would have found it. Or they would have just kept looking and maybe eventually find it.
They may have eventually found it. And they could have probably found Marion Ravenwood if they tried harder. They didn't have to just tail Indy. I mean, I'm on the other side of that argument. Like, I don't think it ruins. It's not a huge plot hole big enough to ruin the whole narrative to me.
It's not wisdom.
So. And it's also not like it. I don't think it's such a given that it's a plot hole at all. Like it's a debatable thing. Like
it's fun because it's debatable.
Yeah.
The nitpick I'm sad I ever even thought of. This very opening scene of the movie, when the boulder breaks loose and starts coming down.
Mm-hmm.
First thing of course, in the moment, it's just like, wow, that's crazy. Later on, I was like, why didn't he just stay there? It would have gone right over his head.
Because it plugs the hole of the exit.
Well, okay, so maybe
it would have trapped him inside the cave.
Maybe that's a good enough explanation.
I always thought that too. Like, why didn't he just let it roll over his head and just stand there? But then I was like, well, when he dives, it crashes into the opening and it stays there and it just like blocks the opening.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the second part of this thing that bothers me is this a one-time trick for this whole culture? I mean, do they really that boulder up and down like, oh man.
Yeah. I mean, we could keep going. We shouldn't because we all love this movie. We hate destroying it. But I mean, I always think about how the light at a certain time of day, both in this and Last Crusade, like they use the light trick, and it's like, well, how would you know the time of day?
Yeah,
it would only work at a certain time, especially Last Crusade.
Maybe it says it on the worthless medallion.
Yeah, 9 a.m.
refers to it.
And then it looks like all the holes are a calendar, so he has to know which
I don't
day.
mean the map room. I don't mean the map room. I like the map room a lot.
Oh, you mean the beginning?
I mean the stay out of the light and Zapito dies because he walks right into the light. You know.
Yeah.
And then in Last Crusade, the leap from the lion's head, he has to walk out, and it's just a perfect. The lighting the texture is just right to make it look camouflaged. I don't know. It's a stupid nitpick.
Clear the movie sucks.
Yeah.
All right. Now that we've concluded that, you want to know what we're doing next?
Sure.
Yes.
All right. I'm going to do the movie that I'm going to stay the same year and pick the movie that beat this out for the best picture.
How rude.
Because this won 5 Academy Awards, but it did not win Best Picture.
Best Picture 1981.
I'll give you a hint.
Yeah.
It also has a very memorable score.
Is it Terms of Endearment?
What was that?
You said Chariots of Fire.
Yeah, it's Chariots of Fire.
Yeah. And I said Terms of Endearment.
Okay.
Both good guesses. Oh, you got it.
So it is Chariots of Fire.
Yep, it's Chariots.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Vangelis is
I don't know, a bunch of dipshits running on the beach. I'm like, no. Like, I don't know. I don't think I ever watched it.
Next time for a bunch of dipshits running on the beach.
Till then, this has been our best review.
Oh, definitely.
Hey, Frankie, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
That was
Thanks for wearing your hat and your stories and your love for this movie.
That's awesome. All right, I'm out. That's enough movie buff.
All right. Well, thank you for listening.
Indiana Jones, adieu.
It's the Fun with Three Brains.
I think it sounds like we'd have to ask our relatives to be on the show.